And during busy times, it is nice to have sometimes over the minimum required amount of parking, just so customers have a spot to park.
I had a question for
Okay, Mr. Morris.
you. We removed under unfinished business number 2 from discussion of septic tanks, which brings up back up to number 1 under new business, is you're proposing to put in utilities, and I'm aware of the fact that there is no city sewer on that side of the line.
That is correct.
So I take it you guys are proposing to put in some kind of sewer line, some getting an easement there. I heard part of it.
Correct. We're proposing a small pump station.
Okay,
and a force main to the
have
road.
you assessed when you do that for others that would benefit from this? It would be a benefit to the city actually if we had a sewer line along there because we don't have one. We don't have the money to put one in. That you guys are going to have to run that. From what I look at it and look at the maps that I've seen, you're going to have to run that over 1,000 feet somewhere to put a sewer line in. And that would mean it would be access to other people and their property there if you determine what size line that would need to be for future use also, as well as your own use.
And one of the things that we're working on is getting an easement in order to go from here to the city's lift station to the east, in order to connect up there for the sewer. As part of that, we're going to be able to run a sewer line that, once it gets dedicated to the city, and it becomes a city public sewer line, can't do it while it's private for various reasons, but once it's public, the hoedown will be able to tie on to it because they're adjacent to that, and then there's a CPA office that's right there, and they'll be able to tie on, and we're actually, when we build, we're going to make provision to make it easier for them to tie on when it becomes a city line. So yes, we will be able to serve people along this line, so we will be bringing more people onto the city sewer that are there to that.
Now, is this any proposed cost to the city itself, or you're going to be?
We will pay.
You would undertake.
Yes, sir.
We're going to pay the cost of installing this line.
Thank you.
When does it become dedicated to the city?
Ms. Schneider?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. He said yes. I don't understand the terminology.
When we actually give if the city would like to have the line, then instead of being a private line, we will be glad to actually give the pipes to the city.
And this would be at any time while y'all are still open and everything.
That's right.
Okay.
Ideally,
Oh,
we'd like to be able
okay.
to dedicate it to the public immediately. And so we'll construct it, and then the line from where it leaves our property would be something we would give to the city.
Okay.
That is
Thank you.
important for our planning commission to know that. But we are not in the negotiations at this table about that. But that is part of this project that they do have to put in a sewer line. They are saying right now the hoedown is on a septic system, and that is going to be part of it that we have to think about. They are doing that.
And the CPA office.
Correct. And that is part of the project, but the negotiations of that and easement and things like that, we do not deal with here.
No, but just for information.
Correct, for information, correct. Mr. Leswick?
I'd like to know about the structure. Is this going to be a concrete slab with concrete block building?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what kind of a roof?
Again, I'm the civil engineer. We're not the architect. I can't answer that question. I don't know off the top of my head.
I'd be interested in knowing that and the R factor of the insulation in it.
Okay.
And also, what would the planned life of the building be?
I can't answer that as well.
I understand.
But you can take these questions back.
I absolutely can. And I will.
Ms. Chamberlain? Ms. Flannery?
I wanted to ask if this is a 24-hour store.
I do not know the answer to that.
And are you going to sell gasoline?
No, there's not a gas station on the site.
I was concerned about the curve,
About the what?
the curve in the road. Do you think this will constitute the necessity of having a light?
No, I'm sure not.
Street light?
I'm sure not. And we have had the highway department on site meet with us, and they've approved our location of the entrance there. And I'm sure we will not have the traffic necessary to make a traffic light.
Because we've never had one.
We wouldn't have the warrants necessary
No.
to meet the highway department state requirements in traffic studies.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Okay, I just want to make sure I got in. Has the transit department or Arkansas State Highways made any recommendations?
We have verbal approval through the highway department.
Right, but transit will be our city trolley stops on both sides of the road, crosswalks, and perhaps even if we need a signal or something for people to get in and out. I believe one of the homeowners said something I'm quite aware of, that this is a very blind curve. And in the wintertime, I would say approximately 4 cars wind up in the culvert or the ditch beside the hoedown every time the roads become either icy or wet or slick like they were yesterday. That's just for information purposes. But that's the way the road is graded there. Whether there'll be a turn lane in and out, a left-hand turn lane to get in and a right-hand turn lane to get in from the opposite flows of traffic. Whether fertilizers or other items will be sold in the lot that affect EPA standards and runoff for our cars. What the grade plan is for the survey. Is there a perk test or any soil stability tests been done? An accurate survey of any city-owned property so that we can then look at some of the things that it requires us to look at, which is how many feet to rear, side, front, corner, and things like that, setbacks, whether this be a screening fence for any residential properties. These are all things that we're supposed to look at when it comes to looking at new commercial development and construction. Will this be one building, or will there be any kinds of buildings that are used for storage? Or is it just one building on premises? Whether it's prefab or modular in any substance, because that's something else we're supposed to look at. Whether it's a conforming or non-conforming structure. One of the suggestions in our code is also a 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Hours of operation, so that's I'm not making it a recommendation. I'm just telling you what the code already says, that it would have to be a variance otherwise. Whether the utilities would be buried. The effect on any septic tanks in the area if people choose not to hook into that sewer. And the water demand. And whether we'll be putting in irrigation lines, separate lines, that won't be, city water per se.
So I'll get that list.
Y'all can FOIA the disc.
That was a lot of questions, and I don't believe we can address
No.
all of them.
I'm giving you a hit list of things that are going to be asked of you, not just by this body, but the public's going to want to know all these things. And this is what it falls under us to look at when we're reviewing new construction.
Right, the setbacks and everything like that, they have to fall into the laws, and that's the building inspector's job to make sure that they do follow our code. It's our job to help them along to make sure that they're following the code so that, we're 7 people looking at it instead of just 1, okay? Some of those things that you talked about, like the perk test, if they don't do that and they find out later, that's shame on them.
I realize I'm bringing it up because we have trouble with our own fire department
Correct.
having to have,
So you're just maybe
compromise
helping
on the
them.
hillside. Also because your survey is such that your highest point of land is at the front of the property. You're going to be disturbing land and shoving it back. And I'm just saying that, these are all things to be considered. Otherwise, you'll be coming back again and again and again. And they're all things that we're responsible to ask you those questions.
Okay.
One thing I would like to address out of that question, there was a question though about following EPA standards or things. I can assure you Walmart has the top of the line compliance department in the country, and they're going to follow the law, and they will see to it their stores in compliance with any EPA or ADQ or other requirements. So that's of extreme importance to Walmart.
Mr. Morris?
I'm sure that Walmart has done quite a bit of studies about the business in there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be proposing to go in here. It's our obligation as a commission to look at the effect that's going to have on the quality of life for the neighborhood. So when you come back to us, I would like to see what you propose or what you suppose the number of people you're going to have for a 24-hour period in and out of there. That will answer some of our questions about traffic flow, and I know that they've done an analysis and done a study, so they know it's practical to put the store in there. But I would like to see some of those reports so we know how it affects us when we make the decisions about traffic and the impact on the neighborhood. If you could bring that along with us too, about what you expect the density of business to be at any certain time, I'd appreciate that. So.
I'll check on that. I'm not sure if that information is available. These are new stores. These Walmart Expresses have only been open since June. I'm not sure what we can or can't provide in that respect.
I know you're not going to put it in if you're going to have 25 customers a day. So
Walmart knows a little something about business. So
One of the other questions that came forward from one of the public was whether there'll be alcohol sold or not.
Whether alcohol will be sold or not is a decision for the state alcoholic beverage control division. So
I'm just telling you that the public's asking.
Oh, sure, and I understand the public is asking that question, and I would say sitting here today, I can't tell you one way or the other whether alcohol is going to be sold there.
Just for clarification on that question, then, the other stores that are in existence do not sell alcohol, and to the best of your knowledge, there are no plans for this particular store to make that application to sell alcohol.
No, I'm not saying that. And in fact, the store in Prairie Grove does sell alcohol,
okay.
The Walmart Express.
Okay.
Where's the closest store that we can go look at?
There are two of these open in Arkansas today. One is in Gentry and one is in Prairie Grove, and then August 30th or 31st is going to be the grand opening of the one in Gravett. So these are new. That's one thing to understand too. We're not talking a giant 205,000 square foot Walmart supercenter. This is a 15,000 square foot store. It's more comparable to the size of like a Family Dollar or something like that. It's a much smaller, new format store. And as to the alcohol, I can't tell you one way or the other than I will say the one in Prairie Grove does sell alcohol.
So that does exist in the model for the express stores?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And now, when I say that, under state law, the only thing that can be sold there would be beer and
Right.
what are small farm wine.
Right.
So.
Mr. Schneider?
Okay, I almost dread asking, but I've got to ask it because all of the public has been asking. Why EUREKA? 24-hour superstore 7 miles away, 2,500 people. Why EUREKA?
Well, I think probably the best answer to that is Walmart's always striving to serve its customers. Walmart perceives a need and a desire in the community for us to be here for this, and that's the only reason they're doing it. And I mean, the best answer I can give, because I get that question a lot in cities, is they're the largest retailer in the world. They have a pretty good track record of figuring out where stores will be successful and where they won't. And this is, of course, very close to the home office, too. And I think there's a belief that this will be a successful store that will be a benefit for the community.
Have all of you at corporate totally disregarded Sam's wishes? I knew Sam. He's an awesome person. His number one concern was the people in this country and the communities. And if you bring in an express here, how is that going to affect our community in regards to small businesses? We've got 2,500 people. Y'all are 7 miles away that people do all the time. This is what they're asking me to ask you. How can you be following Sam's wishes?
Well, we certainly feel that we are, and we certainly feel that this will be a benefit to the community.
How?
By providing services and opportunities and other things that the community would be a benefit to the community.
Okay, pharmacies, groceries, clothing.
Yes, there'll be a variety of merchandise that will be sold at these stores.
Okay, is it going to have a drugstore?
Does it have a pharmacy?
Yeah.
I can't speak to what
Okay.
the merchandising plan is or is not going to be.
So in any given small town, like we've got like 2,500 people, not counting the visitors. Any small town that has a small cadre of independently owned businesses, how can this be helping? I'm asking anybody who can answer.
People live in your city limits, but this is a regional draw. People come from all over. Many of your citizens, people that
We're way
have
out on
businesses here are out on the lake. It will draw people from not just the emergency.
We certainly believe
Okay.
this is going to be a benefit to the community. If we didn't believe it, we wouldn't be standing up here.
Okay.
All right, that's not really planning
What the
issue.
public has asked
That's
me.
not really planning. Mr. Vanacek?
I was
Info.
going to expound, I think, on what Mickey was trying to say there for clarification, but I will yield that question for the time being.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Is there some way you can bring us an analysis, and this isn't within our purview to make a decision based on solely this, but would help us? Can you give us some kind of a projected analysis of what the revenue is going to be from the city as far as taxes? Just somewhere in the ballpark
No,
for us?
no. We're not there.
No, I'm saying just for information.
We can't ask that. Disregard. Like the
Yes, Your
court. Disregard.
Burn the tape.
Yeah, burn the
Why
tape.
can you not ask that question?
It's not anywhere in our purview to ask a personal revenue statement. If I wanted to build a business and you asked me about my personal revenue projections, that's not anybody's.
So it's not because it's not in this book, it's because you feel like it's not appropriate. Just
We have a purview of what we can discuss and what we can't, but this,
We have no right to that information.
no right. Yeah,
Okay.
there you
I was
go.
Not
just
even
curious
on
about
our-
your reasoning.
I asked if they would be willing to give it.
I
It's
would
not a
ask-
demand, because some cities do negotiate a tax relief because of the revenue that's going to
Mr.
bring.
Morris, we're not the negotiators for the city.
I didn't ask them to negotiate. I asked
Okay,
them-
point of order. That's enough. Just keep that one.
See, mine wasn't that
Mr.
bad.
Leswick, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I move we close the discussion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate your time and we'll
Now
look
you
forward to
can
getting some
FOI
responses.
the DVD. It's like 75 cents,
And
but
thanks
that
for
way
explaining
you would and
what
you
your
have
reasoning
we
was.
even have to FOI. That
Mr.
way
Westwood said it a
that way
little
you
better.
would have all those questions.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we allow the building inspector to address the body.
Second it.
Is that what the whispering's about?
I was trying to get the attention. To answer some of your questions about the septic tanks, they do not, by state law, have to hook up to that line if it is more than 300 feet from their property line. Now, if it is within 300 feet, they do not have to hook up to it until their septic system fails. Once it fails, then they are required by state law to hook up to it.
So once it fails and there's poop all over the place, then oh my
We
God.
would hope that they would hook up.
Unless we make a city ordinance to that, can we not make a city ordinance to that the decree that they?
No, because the state says that, actually states that you have to hook up to any municipal water or sewer system if it's within a designated length, and every state inspector that I have talked to says 300 feet.
Well, I wasn't talking about the 300-foot issue. I'm
Right.
agreeing with you there. But the city ordinance I was talking about was you said unless there's a failure on the septic tank or replacement of that septic tank, can we not, by state law? That's kind of what I've been looking into recently.
So you ask-
was that-
so if-
can we make a city ordinance that says, for instance, that if you are on a septic tank and you are within that 300-foot limit of an existing sewer line, that you have until, say, January 15th, 2013 to hook into it, for instance. Just
Because we're trying
If
to
it's
get
within
rid of our
300
septic.
feet, you could.
I didn't ask whether that would be popular.
I know it wouldn't be popular. You're right. I do know of certain areas in Berryville that when they put the new main through there, that tried to make it where they had to hook up to, and they couldn't because the state said no until their system fails. Now, some of them went ahead and instead of going I don't know if y'all know, I'm a plumber by trade, so I don't know if y'all know what a D box is, a distribution box on a septic system. They cut the line there, still had their septic tank, and ran to the city main. Once their septic system, or their septic tank actually failed, then they were allowed to remove it and just put in a section of pipe to hook it up.
Okay.
How bizarre.
Because we've been looking into that, in other discussions about that. You and I talked about it. We were trying to understand that.
And something else, too, about forced mains, just as general knowledge for y'all. A forced main, yes, it has to be engineered for a certain size. I've worked on several systems in Missouri. I've worked on systems here. Most of your pressurized sewer pumps are an 1.25 inch outlet. So if you run a 3-inch line or a 4-inch line, it will carry multiple houses. Yep.
And for you that don't understand, that stuff is sort of ground up before it goes through.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it may not sound
Just
like
what we needed to know, Jim.
That's why they can do it to a very small line.
Okay.
If I recall, we also had discussion before when we were talking about septic tanks in general as to whether there was private funding available as far as bonds and things like that that homeowners could, use and use their own funds and then distribute that cost onto their homeowners, because that ties into what we're talking about.
Also,
Eventually, we'll get there. It's on unfinished business number 2.
Exactly. So we'll go on.
Thank you. Okay, number 2 under new business is Wi-Fi at City Hall. This, Mr. Morris, I was told that it's administrative, but if you will go to the mayor's office, that may already be available here. How do you go? Are you?
I've never used internet in this room from.
But you just bring your files? Is that what y'all do with those?
Yeah, I download all my files and I've got them local. But from what I understand, I noticed the Wi-Fi networks that do pop up. There's one that's Carroll County Western District, and then I've noticed there's another one that's marked City Hall. So
right. I was told that if you go to the mayor's office and talk to Diane, that may very well be available in this room, because I see people bring their contraptions all the time. If you don't want to bring paper, that's good. I'm not going to do one of those things. Okay.
I don't like them either, but I don't like printing scans.
Okay, so that can come off of our agenda after this, because I am told if you just go to the mayor's office and speak to Diane, that may be already available. Okay, unfinished business number 1, updating the zoning map status. Hallelujah. I did receive $1,800 appropriation from the council on August the 4th. Hopefully that will be enough to get our map updated. Somebody asked me, and y'all probably know about this better than me, do our wards show up on that at all? No, not at all. Has nothing to do with that. Okay, I'm just a girl.
It would
Beverly.
be worth investigating not only a new zoning map, but overlay maps.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, that is another bigger issue and a bigger part of the puzzle. And we talked about that. We talked about the high school doing
East Lab
doing things, and the county has already got aerial shots and things like that. That was going to be much more expensive, much more time involved, much more money involved. So what we decided as a planning commission was to have this one updated with the changes that we had and go forward, because it would be much better than what we have now. Okay? So I have this list that I received on 4/28/11 with like 11, I think, changes on it. And then Ann asked me today about, what did you ask me about? Black Bass Dam.
There's a 10-acre section at the bottom of the dam, and there's a 40-acre section on the away from town side of the dam that have been deeded to the city, and so we're looking for descriptions, property descriptions, so they can be included. There's also Well, I'll go over that list with you later.
Okay, so as a planning commission, though, it's all of our responsibility that when this is done, to make sure that it's done right. We have the appropriations in place. We've all had this list, and a lot of it's not on the computer, so there's only certain of them we can look at. The rest of it, we have to take Ann's word or come in here and go through every ordinance that's ever been written since that map was done, and Ann sort of did that. So we have this list, and we're waiting on the Black Bass Dam, and that's where we are on this. But we do have the appropriations. So
Giant first step.
yeah, and the company that's going to do it also said that they could put this in electronic, digital format, whatever that we need it in. So not only will we have a big map for the wall, and we have to, once we do get that, we have to, something about reading an ordinance and writing on it, the mayor's signature and all that stuff. We have to follow those codes, and we'll get up to there when we get there, but that's where we are on that. Okay, the discussion of the septic tanks. Okay, a lot of people ask me about this, and they ask me about overall planning and what we're planning for the future of the city, and how can we get off septic tanks, just like we were discussing at this table. And really, I feel like that's bigger than us, because Public Works has a lot of the information. The city council has the keys to the money. And, I can't see us as a planning commission going into Public Works and demanding all their information and all their plans and where the sewer lines are and what we could even do with it. So I asked the city council to be thinking about a way that we could have more information and be more involved with the overall plan for the city. But I believe that they're going to have to start that and help us with that, bring us information, get us information, something. But we can look into the laws about those 300 foot, certainly. Bobby told me that it says in his plumbing code, or maybe state code, that one has to fail before they're required.
I might have overlooked that section, but from what I had seen was that it was that section of state code was written almost identically to the way the section of state code on sidewalks was written, which was that if the city says it's time to, hook up, just like if the city says it's time to replace your sidewalk, that you can be given X number of days to do it, and if you don't, then the city can take those steps necessary to ensure that.
Okay.
But I might have missed the portion that said if your sewer septic tank fails.
I'll ask him for the actual copy of that code and bring it to the next meeting. Okay? And we postpone number 3, and number 4 is the sign ordinance as a whole. Do we have any updates on that, Mr.
Famous one-word
Leslie?
response: progress. We are having it typed right now as we speak. We expect to be proofing it the latter part of this week and next week, and our target is to have it in the hands of the Planning Commission at the next meeting.
Oh, great. That is progress.
And on a side note, Mr. Pownell is going to introduce or talk to the mayor about a resolution extending the moratorium on signs for an additional period of time.
Okay. Our agenda setting, the vegetation and landscape, like I said, I did find it in code, page 431. It's not in the index, so it was very...
Can we have that in the minutes of the next meeting as an accomplishment?
Yeah.
Do we need to do anything with that?
Vegetation's found. I am going to look at the one that came out of the old code book. I have a copy of that, and now I know where it is in this book, and I will, compare those.
See if we need to shuffle
see
it
if
or
there's
change
anything
it.
that we need to do. But at least we don't have to spend hours looking for why it went somewhere.
One of the and you know that I'm not a fan of codification without review. One of the problems, I think, is too often we send things for codification without specifying where we want it to be. Therefore, they put it where they think it should be. So it behooves us to work with the city clerk to make sure that things go where they make the most sense to go.
Okay, is there anything to be added to the agenda setting portion of our meeting? Ms. Chamberlain?
The residents that are affected by this new Walmart store that we just discussed tonight are outside the city limits, and can we entertain annexation of those residences, or how this will affect? Because we're making decisions on residences that aren't, those ones on Thunder and Cloud and whatever else they are not in city limits. And the same thing would be true of anything down Greenwood Hollow by the new school. Those ones clear down Greenwood Hollow, the minute you hit Stopple Road, it's outside of the city limits. And yet we're making decisions that are affecting, people that we either should think about annexing, or we're making decisions and they have no choice.
Did you have something for agenda setting?
Well, I'd like to put that on our agenda for next time so we can look into it.
Annexation of
Yes.
these rural
Yes.
areas.
Yes,
There's a long process for that annexation.
I realize. Because all of what we're talking about when we're talking about this Walmart extension affects people that aren't our citizens. That are not city, they don't have a vote.
We certainly should be willing to listen to their comments in the hearing, noting the fact they're outside the city limit, but they're affected. But annexation is an expensive proposition, and there's more entailed than just giving them the vote on what happens in the city.
Well, we also have
the requirements on the city are exceedingly expensive.
I realize, but we also have the ability to extend our sphere of influence.
We could extend our sphere of influence, and that's dangerous.
I know.
We'll make you the point person on that, and then we won't show up for the meeting.
We have discussed the precursor to annexation, territorial jurisdiction, within the last 18 months or so, and the outcry and response from the people in that territorial jurisdiction area was loud and thunderous, in that many of them showed their support to tell us to stay where we are. And whereas I can certainly see the benefits of certain areas being included within the territorial jurisdiction, I think that to react to a project that is still very, very, very tenuous at this point would be exceedingly premature and exceedingly reactionary, and less true planning than reaction. And I have never supported this body being reactionary in nature, and
I'm just saying that we're talking about septic tanks and things like that, and we're going the opposite way. We're trying to do a trickle up rather than a trickle down. We're dictating to them with this new sewer and everything else that, perhaps they have to hook up and things like. Guess what? They're not even citizens. We can't tell them what to do.
Okay. Schneider?
I just want to know where this project is being planned. That's in city limits, but right behind it's not?
Correct.
Cloud Drive, one half of Cloud Drive is in the city limits and one half of Cloud Drive is not.
Okay. I knew about the school area.
That's the last road on that.
Wow. Okay.
So you're talking about 6 houses are not in the city limits down there.
Okay.
The other 6 or 7 or 8 on both those other roads are.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I don't even know to add that or not to add that, but I guess I will add that and put your name beside of it. If you want to bring us information, feel free. Anything else under agenda setting?
Do we have to put something on there about the project, or is that already automatically added?
That new construction review is going to be on our next agenda
Okay, and what
as
about
well.
what about the Boza
Voted
thing?
on that.
That's
It's
already
already
on there.
on.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we're at commissioner comments. Ms. Schneider?
First, I want to welcome Denny. It's about time, lady. And then all I wanted to say was, oh, have fun. My son called from Afghanistan Sunday. He says to say hi to everyone. He is working his little butt off, long hours, horrible stuff, but he's doing fine and can't wait to get home, hopefully mid to late October. So he says hi to everyone. I let him know that EUREKA was stepping up to the plate and trying to share in his environmental situation when we hit 115. He says that's what they start with. It is now the cool time. That's it.
Ms. Flaherty, you have anything to say?
I'm just delighted to be here and participate in helping the Planning Commission put all that hard work and study to use. This was quite a bath.
Welcome.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Chamberlain?
I wanted to address something that one of the citizens pointed out when I was contacted this week, is that the current information on our commissioners is not on the website, including the agenda, and that one of the things that that citizen also mentioned is that when these things come up, they would like to have the website, the city website, be current as far as these things are concerned, not just the fact that they didn't have notice, but our personal information, our contact through City Hall and things like that. My phone number is 479-253-8401. That is my cell phone number. It was listed in the 2010 ATT directory, and I grabbed my number, which was my landline, and put it to my cell. My email information is susan@eurekalove.com.
With that, I'd like to say to my commissioners, since we do have new commissioners, I know Denny has went in and talked to Glenna, but she will give you like an orientation package. If you make time to speak with her, she will do that. She's our city contact person. She'd like to do that if you have maybe 30 minutes. I don't know how long it took you, about an hour or 30 minutes. And also, the city did not put out our information automatically. So if you as a commissioner would like to have your phone number or your email address put on the website, just contact Diane and she will get that on there. But it was not automatically done. They did give us at one point an application of what we wanted on there, but it wasn't automatically done. And I'm sure because you're new, it's not been updated. But if you would like your information on there, just contact Diane. She will get it there. Okay. Mr. Leswick?
I joined the Planning Commission the first time in 1998. Denny, I want to welcome you and thank you. It's the first time I ever sat at a table with 6 other planning commissioners. Sort of an awesome event. I think Ann should make sure that goes in the minutes. It may never happen again, for all we know. But welcome. We look forward to your input.
Mr. Vanacek?
Yeah, I'd like to echo that sentiment because I haven't been involved in the Planning Commission anywhere near as long, but it really was nice, you know, even though Mr. Morris was a few minutes late, just to hear 7 names called at roll. I took that in for a minute. I heard all 7 names called, and I said, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. You know, and furthermore, I would like to thank the community because I'll tell you, I've, again, not been on the Planning Commission a very long time, but this has been, in the past 5 days, the largest public response that I've heard in the shortest amount of time that anyone has known about any issue. And given that, there was, I think, quite a response. And I want to thank the public and continue to ask for your involvement and to hear your opinions. And if there's something in your community going on that you're for or against, you know, when it comes up on our table, we need to know about it. So what's going on right now, absolutely a great thing. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. Morris?
And welcome. It is nice to have 7 people here. I just can't figure out why in the world you want to spend your Tuesday evenings every other week. Sitting with this motley group.
Crawling
We
through
do
the
welcome
bugs.
you, and it's nice to have your voice.
I come just for Jim.
We do generally get along pretty good. We may not sound like it here at the table, but I think we've accomplished quite a bit. And I've served with Mr. Leswick on and off. He was out for illness sometime, but it's a pleasure to serve with people that really are interested in what happens to your city. And even if we don't always agree, it's still a pleasure to serve you, and thank all of you, not just our newcomer, for being willing to come here and put up with all of this and be interested. And sometimes it's hard work going through all of these documents, reading them, and you'd far rather be watching something else. I just don't like site visits at 5 o'clock because Jeopardy's on at 5 o'clock. And that's
Through
I
the
told
bugs.
her our meetings are usually 45 minutes, and we've been here for a very long time. So,
But thank you for being here. That's all.
okay, and I have some good news finally. On August the 4th, the council passed Ordinance 2139, the domestic fowl ordinance, on its third reading. They still have to do another ordinance about the other animal section, and I'm keeping up with that to make sure that they do that. The vacation of Palo Pinto was put off till September because there was a death in the Grinnell family. We send our condolences. I talked about the $1,800 appropriation to update our zoning map. The multifamily dwellings finally went to council, and it was by unanimous vote given to the city attorney to draw up an ordinance to be put in the code book. I did give them the recommendation for the non-conforming signs, but that and the digital and electronic signs are still on hold, and they are going to propose a moratorium for a longer time on that. So that's all the information I have from council, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. You're dismissed.
Were there any no's?